Men who have more wiggle room for the physicality are men who understand that their current stage in life limits the access of women that they have, whether it's finances, whether it's personality, whatever it is. I think men who have options like in plethora aren't willing to negotiate, because the same way that there are fine men out there that have terrible personalities, there are fine men out there that have phenomenal personalities. And if I have access to all of the fine men, why would I settle for somebody who's not attractive, who has a great personality? Any wife is a trophy wife. And, you know, understanding that I'm saying this on the internet, some wives are participation trophies and others are like championship trophies, right? Every man wants to be able to feel represented in who his wife is. So if she is beautiful and she is intelligent and she is living out the values that he has, that's a representation that he wants to present to the world. Like, that's my woman.
Do you think that men are like more harsh on their like physical attraction, like how women are like, there's certain things that we've been on. You think men are more like harsh, or do you think, they will let certain things slide as well?
I think they let certain things slide. I do. They do let things slide. I think that, of course, if you have pickings, then that's different. But I think that for the average guy, I don't think that they're as picky. I don't. I think that they want, but I don't think that. I do think that they look at the average. Now, come on, don't act like everybody out here clean.
No, I was gonna say I think it depends on the age and stage. I think the older you get, you begin to learn a little more about life and what's really important and what is going to make a relationship work. And so you do let some things that normally when you were younger wouldn't be. Like, I know for me, looks was a big thing. Like, honestly, that was probably the only standard that I had when I was younger, right? That he was fine. That was it, and that he had personality or something like that. But I think as I've gotten older, even though I was, of course, attracted to my husband, I felt he was fine when I met him, and I think he's fine now. I definitely know that looks aren't as important to me as it was when I was 18 or 19, because I value, although I'm attracted to him, that's not the top thing that I value about him. That has changed. But when I was 18, that was a top thing. I can wait to be out in public with him. You know what I'm saying? Like, that was my boo. Yeah, he fine. I know he fine. Like, that kind of thing. But like now that after we had kids, it the looks part just didn't even matter. I ended up valuing so many other things about him. Looks actually is probably like the third or fourth, fifth thing maybe on my list at this point. So I think it depends on your age and stage.
And I agree. I think it comes with, especially with men. I feel like in the beginning, men, they see the exterior. That's what's going to attract them to you. But life changes people. If you're a man that's always dated dimes or beautiful women, you might have been hurt or went through some things that might make you go back to the drawing board and be like, you know what, let me not be so shallow. And maybe she might not be the most fine. She's cute, she's easy on the eyes, but she has a great heart. She's not with me for my money. She's not this, she's not that. So I think it comes with experience, with age, and just with what you've been through while dating.
I disagree. Um, I think that the men who wear looks are not, or sorry, let me rephrase it. Men who have more wiggle room for the physicality are men who understand that their current stage in life limits the access of women that they have, whether it's finances, whether it's personality, whatever it is. I think men who have options like in plethora aren't willing to negotiate, because the same way that there are fine men out there that have terrible personalities, there are fine men out there that have phenomenal personalities. And if I have access to all of the fine men, why would I settle for somebody who's not attractive, who has a great personality? So I think it all depends on what you have access to. How many times have we seen a gentleman get his financial situation in order, and all of a sudden looks didn't matter, and now that, he has the means, they do matter again? How come, when someone's exiting a relationship, now you are taking better care of yourself, your hygiene is better, your aesthetic is better, you're going to the gym, you're eating cleaner. That's to attract more attractive people. So I think the men who negotiate their level of attraction to their partner are men who have to, and men who don't have to don't negotiate.
So you feel like once a man hits a certain financial level, he gets to be like more pickier with who he chooses to be with?
Oh no, I don't think it has to be just financial, right? Like I think
Okay.
there are gentlemen out there who aren't financially stable but are incredibly charismatic. So they have access to
Okay.
whatever woman they want. Some guys are hilarious, and I don't know a woman that doesn't like a funny guy. And so they have access to a whole lot of women. So I think if you're, as a man, your dating pool of attractive women is limited, you're going to negotiate how attractive your partner is going to be. If you have access to very attractive women, you're not going to negotiate.
Do you think that a man would compromise their preference or their type for the right connection, or do you think that that is something that is like non-negotiable? Because I feel like some men are really strict on certain things. Or do you feel like,
I
we'll start with Miss Taken
okay.
or
Uh,
Shane, whoever, it doesn't matter.
I'll let you go.
I think
Go
it
ahead.
depends on the person. I was talking to Mistaken. It's ironic. I was talking to Mistaken earlier today about a friend I had. And well, he's still my friend. But back in the day, we were all college students, and he was a football player at Georgia Tech. Okay. And he had this girl, and I want to make sure I don't say his name, but he had this woman that he was so in love, y'all. He was like in love with this girl. But he had his girls on campus, and this girl went to a school at another college. Okay. I'm gonna get to that point, I promise. And so when I eventually met her, they had, I mean, the way they interacted was awesome. At this point, he's going into the league because he was a really good player. He played for Kansas City. Um, and they had, and now mind you, this woman had been with him for 4 years, and they had great chemistry, and he was like good, like so in love with her. And so I asked him maybe 2 years later, and I promise y'all this was the conversation. I said, well, what happened to so and so? And he said, I couldn't be with her. I said, why? You were in love? He said, I was. I'm not gonna lie. Like, she had me. She just didn't have the look. He literally said that. And I was like, what? He was in love with this girl, but because of the way she looked, he was like, she cannot go along for the ride because it's got to stop. Isn't that crazy? That's the first time I've ever heard of that.
Yeah, I think men put way more emphasis on, I'll say most men put a lot more emphasis in the physical appearance, that wanting to have the dime piece. And again, this is the men that have access to those women. I do actually agree with Inaz when she, made that point. So I think most people want the nice shiny thing. You know what I'm saying? But I think it takes a more developed mindset to understand that not all thing that glitter is gold. You know what I'm saying? And so when you're looking for a life partner, that looks are definitely something that's going to be important in terms of the physical attraction. But again, You don't know what can happen within a relationship. There are people that have accidents, that they become disfigured, in any of those things could occur. And I'm not speaking in extremes, like people change, physically change in a relationship. So you're definitely going to have substance and something that is going to keep the relationship grounded. Like if the person loses their looks, then you're like, I don't want to be with them anymore. Like to me, I just, I don't know. I just don't, I don't see that.
I don't know. I think it's different once you enter into a marriage. I think certain men who are very principled, that's not going to affect them, right? But I think men in general, if they can, are not going to compromise on having the total package. She's got to be fit, she's got to be feminine, she's got to be whatever it is that fits the representation, right? Like, I think for me, I think the idea of a trophy wife has kind of been, cast into like a very specific type of woman. But if we're honest, any wife is a trophy wife. And, you know, understanding that I'm saying this on the internet, some wives are participation trophies and others are like championship trophies, right? Every man wants to be able to feel represented in who his wife is. So if she is beautiful and she is intelligent and she is living out the values that he has, that's a representation that he wants to present to the world. Like, that's my woman. Everything that she represents physically and internally, that's all me. I think women don't really look at it the same because men are not really considered trophies. And so if a man can get an attractive woman who is intelligent, who is cooperative, who is all of the things that he is looking for, that he believes in, that he lives out, he's going to go for that, and he's not going to compromise if he can. If he can't, that's a whole different story. But if he doesn't have to compromise, I don't think men are going to compromise on that.